I'm good. Okay, before we begin, please silence your phones so that everyone has an opportunity to listen and hear what's being discussed. If you have to take a phone call, please go outside in the hallway to do so. Um, So I will read the notice. All of our members aren't here yet, but we do have a quorum right now, so we can get started. The Board of Alders, New Haven, notice New Haven, the Board of Alders will meet in person on Monday, January 27th, 2025, at 6 p.m. in the Board of Alders chamber located at Church Street, second floor, New Haven, Connecticut, to hear and act on the following items. Item 1, LM 204-737. Approving the appointment of Taylor Flores, Board of Education. 2, LM 2024-0749. Letter of the Indian Board of Alders approving the appointment of Eric Gonzalez to the Development Commission. Item 3, LM 2024-657. Letter of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of George Peak to the Emergency Management Advisory Council. LM 2024-747. Letter of the New Haven Board of Alders Collier, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Environmental Advisory Council. Item 5, LN 2240741. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Kenneth Escandani to the Youth Commission. Item 6, LN 20240757. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Dr. Alex Forrester to the Board of Public Health. Item 7, LN 2024-0743. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Greg Gonzalez to the Board of Public Health. Item 8, LN 2024-0746. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Alex to the Environmental Advisory Council. Item 9, LN 24652. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders Joseph Edwards to the Homeless Advisory Commission. Item 10, LN 202-748. Order of the Office approving the appointment of Nitra Malay to the Homeless Advisory Commission. Item LN 758. Order of the New Haven Office approving the appointment of Amanda Board of the Commission. Item 12, Order of the Board of approving the reappointment of John Barlow to the New Haven Solid Waste Authority directors. Item 13, the Board of Alders approving the appointment of Nina Fox to the Civilian Board acting representative. Item 14, LN 40759. Order of the Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Kelsey Steele to the Board of Organizers. Item 15, LN 24060. Order of the Board of Alders approving of Jeanette Sykes to the Board of Library Directors. Item 16, New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Millie Greenell to the Peace Commission. Item 17, LN 2024745. Order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Rebecca to the Peace Commission. For Article Honorable 407, Chair Test Honorable Michael Smart, Town Clerk. These items are on file and available in the office of the City Clerk, located at 200 Orange Street, room 202, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510. For accessibility related accommodations, please call 203-946-7651 voice or 203-946-8582 TTD. Public comment testimony can be submitted email to testimony and TTW or TTW. Meeting may be viewed on the Board of Alders YouTube. Good evening. And before we get started, don't be afraid. We don't ask a lot of tough questions. We just want to know who you are, newcomers that are on the board. And I'd like to introduce the committee, from my left,
Oh, Alderman Gary B. Hogan, Ward 28.
Alder Murphy.
Alder Evans Rodriguez, Ward 4. Alder Rosa Ferraro, Ward 2. And since we do have a quorum, we'll continue, the other two, three, I haven't come yet. But we have quorum. The first item on our agenda this evening is the inquiry to the Board of Education. Be here, will you please come up? Right there. And state your name and address for the record.
I'm Daniel Juarez. I reside at 463 Norton Parkway.
Okay. And you are being appointed to the board. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we do have your resume, so you don't have to go into that in detail, but we'd like to hear what you would like to see.
Certainly. Well, I am a parent of two Wade public school students. Have been since they started school, or since the oldest started school in 2012 when we first moved to New Haven. We found the prospect of moving to New Haven and starting public schools exciting, but also very scary. And it was a little difficult for us at the beginning because we weren't able to close the house until after the school year had begun.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently, we ended up at what they were calling the overflow school, which was a strong school at the time. And it was a little chaotic. It was a little difficult, loud, and seemingly disorganized. And so we'd meet with the teacher. We'd say, "How can we help? We do. We want to get involved. Our kids are certainly important to us, as I think everyone's are to them." And our teacher told us in confidence. She says, "The truth is, if I had kids, I wouldn't send them there."
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, that's got to change. That can't. That's not something that's acceptable. So I thought, well, can we work within this particular school? So we thought, well, let's get involved with PTO. The school didn't have a PTO, and the more we tried to work within what existed at that school, the more we realized that our kid wasn't doing, but he was starting to develop little tics and behavioral issues, and we thought that we really would like to find something else for him. And so we were able to find a place for myself, Danny, at then Columbus Family Academy. We met Dr. Benitez, who's now one of the Board of Ed members, and she was very helpful to us in acquainting us to a school and asking us, "Are you sure you want to do this dual language program? Because it is a bit of a commitment." And we thought, well, yeah, let's try it. Let's do it. And I grew up speaking Spanish, and so I thought it would be great for my kids to do the same. And we started our schooling there. And like no school is perfect, no school system is perfect, but involved my wife and I was in particular appointed by President TO. I got involved with the school planning and back. It was a co-op school. Eventually thereafter, I was involved with the district-wide parent group. Then I came to the attention of then Superintendent Garth Harries. He invited me to participate in a reform committee. We were evaluating schools that had been identified as turnaround schools that were given special funds and special rules. And around that same time, he was he to resign, unfortunately, and so some work that I was doing there kind of fell apart, and I wasn't invited back to that particular group after the next superintendent. But I got to see how the school system worked, and my kids ended up really, I think, having good experiences overall. Not without hiccups, but places where we could help and places where we couldn't. Around that time, I would say 2016, 2017, I changed jobs and I didn't have the same flexibility to volunteer anymore. So I haven't been doing very much, since then. But when my kids are about to start high school, we were worried about the lottery system and wondering, are we going to find a good, place for the older, especially the older boy, who's now at Easton School. Actually, he did all of his high school work. He's about to graduate this spring. But we sat down as a family. It was sort of during the pandemic, so we were having family dinners, and we said, what would you guys think if we moved to the suburbs and found somewhere where maybe we don't have to worry so much about finding a school where we know there's going to be the resources and opportunities for you to succeed. And they both said, absolutely not. We do not want to live in a community without sidewalks. And I think they meant not only figuratively, but they meant philosophically. We want to live in a place where people do things together, where there is a community of people. And I almost immediately repented having suggested that we move, and and so I'd like to be a part of this community with sidewalks, and I'd like to do what I can to um, contribute to making our schools better and create a better experience for students, better opportunities. Um, and at this particular time, um, I've met some of the Board of Ed members, and I really think you've got a wonderful group of people assembled. Real, amazing, wonderful individuals. And it seems to me like it's a collaborative um, organization. Uh, I know in the past there's been a lot of attention, but it seems to me that the group that's assembled now is somewhat united in purpose and in value. And I with the superintendent, the mayor, and she outlined her 5 years, plan for improving academic achievement and improving the schools. And I think it's something I would support. If there's a lot of hard decisions to be made because resources aren't infinite. I live in New Haven. I certainly don't want the mill rate to go up. So I know that I can't just ask everybody to suddenly do more. But I'd like to see if there's some way that I can bring my experiences as a parent, experiences as a um, administrator or an organizer, uh, to help make those decisions, to help evaluate those places in which hard decisions have to be made. But I'm also confident that the group of people that make up the board are good people that I could work with.
Questions from my colleagues? I'll start with Alder Hogan.
Great to meet you in Ward 28.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you. I don't have any questions. I think your resume explained it pretty well. But I do have one. As a potential board member, will your kids remain in?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay, well, your resume is like my uncle said. Pretty much, your resume says it all. And I think that you make a very good fit, your credentials, experience, social connectivity. Yeah, I think you make it.
And Alder Rodriguez.
Pleasure meeting you. But there's a lot of good experience that you have. PTOs, SMTs, the meetings at the district level. Those are all really important relationships, experiences with children. How do you see yourself working on this exciting, challenging, and interesting?
I think of that question. How do I see myself working with the board? I would try. I would see my role in this particular place to be one of trying to build consensus. values that I have in common with the other members, with the other decision makers, with stakeholders. Because not all the stakeholders are decision makers. And what I mean by that is, certainly there are students, there are parents, there are, community members, a lot of people with a vested interest in the schools doing well. And I think in my previous iteration as a parent, as a parent advocate, if you will, sometimes my role is to come to Board of Ed meetings and raise a fuss about some issue that I thought needed to be addressed, that wasn't getting the attention it needed, and I think my role now is not to raise any, it's really to try to build consensus, to listen to the concerns of folks, but also serve as kind of a filter because not all of those things can be addressed at the same time. Our school system has a lot of challenges, and we can't address them all at the same time. Just to have the finances, the resources, the energy to do so and be successful. So I think if we can identify ways in which we focus our energies, our resources, our people power, and try not to drop important balls in that process. So I would see that would be my role is to build consensus, to try to prioritize important issues and deal with mostly those. And I'll be honest with you, I think at least for the first 6 months, maybe a year and a half, we'll see my role as learning and listening, trying to figure out, try to understand the full complexity of the issues that may be helping to decide on. Because they really, I could come in and say I have an agenda, but I honestly don't, except that I want to do my very best for the students.
And as I was reviewing your resume, the communications, how you responded throughout all your work. You're in the field of music and also arts. You've worked with establishing posters and different things. And this time, in this period in New Haven, we're dealing with a lot of issues regarding immigration.
Yes.
Many of our children and have multicultural schools and multicultural. How do you see yourself in communication? I see we have our teachers and we have our uh, our our kitchen workers who have to relate and work with our children, and I see all this administration. The additionally to that, I see the parents, how, and the community. How do you see yourself in building communication so that we reach that consensus so that we can have a better school environment for our children?
Thank you so much for that question. I love that question. And I will say that that's a big part of who I am and what I've brought to my service with PTO SPMT thus far. As vice president of the PTO, I would sometimes facilitate meetings if I wasn't really present and help to translate because as you know, now it's FAME Academy, but at the time, Columbus School, a good number of the students and parents there were not native English speakers, and so things needed to be translated. Often, it would fall on me to do a lot of that translating, and I love doing things to help people understand and people communicate with one another. I think that's essential to communicating. I don't know that would necessarily be my role day to day. Board of Ed, but I also will say that one of the people that I admire the most from um, my PTO time was Daisy Gonzalez, served on the Board of Ed. She was such a wonderful human being, and again, her skill and her ability to relate to people, to talk to people, is something that I hope to emulate. And if I can serve on that capacity, I would consider that an honor.
Seeing It's a good, really beloved, an inspiring individual. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'd like to acknowledge my two colleagues who have attended Angel Public Ward 3, and my co-chair is Yvette Hamilton, Ward 24. And I have a question that kind of confused me a little. Because of the fact that you said you were concerned when you were trying to get your son into high school. And so you have a lot of son in high school. You wanted to make sure that you went to the right high school, you were concerned about studies. Do you now feel that they in school give you proper education?
I think they do. I don't think I necessarily knew that before getting to the point where both my kids are in high school. But in talking with other parents and learning more about schools, I do believe that we have the capacity to give kids the educational experience that they deserve. I would say with the caveat that there are a lot of um, challenges to that, in particular for some students over others. And I don't mean just students with learning disabilities, but there's family issues. There's as you mentioned, immigration status issues, things that I can't imagine having to go to school and worry about whether my parents are going to be home when I get home. That's a real concern, especially in the local environment for kids. There are kids that are English language learners. That there's kids, from families where maybe they're not going to receive the kind of support or push to do their homework or that kind of thing. And so I recognize that not everybody has the same privileges um, in having, even though they might have some of the same opportunities, they don't necessarily have the same privileged support systems to succeed the way that perhaps my children can. And my second son is now at the Sound School. So he started as a freshman this year. So I have two high schoolers currently.
And my question is, regarding your time, you said in 2016 that you changed jobs and you didn't have enough time to do what you were doing. How will this affect you now? Because the Board of Ed also have subcommittees.
Yes, thank you for that question. I have, so I was for over 20 years the music director of a church in Brantford, Connecticut, a position that I've recently resigned from. So I'm hoping to sort of reappropriate time that I would have spent dedicated to that. My performing, that was also something that I could choose not to do. This is not a freelance option. My resume. I would say also regarding I work at Yale, my day job, if you will, pays the bills and gets me benefits. I'm an hourly employee, so I'm not often called with any kind of overtime. Typically, my work day is at 5 o'clock, and I should be able to make the schedule and participate in committees as well without any hindrance. And I'm committed to do so. Yes, and I'm committed to do so. This is something that I don't take lightly. I would be happy. I will say that in the past, if I had needed to, I do take my paid time off from my paid job in order to accomplish the volunteer work that I've done in the past. And this is true of the committees that I served on with in the past here with the school. I remember a conversation that I had with it was right before one of our school reform meetings, and the other members were talking about what they were going to do with their upcoming vacation time. Oh, where are you going on vacation? Where are you going on vacation? So far as where are you going to go on vacation? Says, well, I'm technically on vacation right now. And it was, I had used my paid time off to be a part of it. And I certainly be prepared to do that if necessary. Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there will probably be times that there will be committee meetings. especially when there's like turnover and things like that, there will be meetings on the Board of Ed. That will probably necessitate a day, meetings rather than,
Yes.
we'll go to, defer to Alder Hamilton. Do you have any questions? Alder Hubbard.
None at this.
Okay, I will come back and ask you a question. The Board of Ed has been running meetings absolutely astonishing, embarrassing to the public.
Yes.
I've watched meetings that I couldn't watch anymore because they were very frustrating and aggravating because they were fighting among themselves on the media video. My hope is that that should never happen. There are ways that we as a board, there's 30 alders here. When we don't see eye to eye 100% of the time, we do not see eye to eye 20% of the time. But on most issues, we do see eye to eye. And I would like to ensure if every one of us was saying those things, whatever they were saying at that time, we would be called out and we would be asked to resign. That's the way our body works. And the president of the Board of Alders would call us out. And so my question is what's going to change? Are you going to be in an authority to make consensus? Because it hasn't happened, and I told the prior president, I wouldn't even support her if she was running again. I wouldn't support her because I asked her to change the way she had her meeting, and she didn't. And so when it's embarrassing to the city, members of the Board of Ed fight on TV, it's embarrassing.
I am in full agreement with you, and I have been appalled by some of those reports. I haven't been present at all of them, but I've seen it in the media. I've seen it reported. I will say that I've met Mr. Wilcox. I've met Mr. Yarbrough. I know Dr. Benitez for many years. I know that they are not likely to behave in that manner at all. I couldn't even imagine it. And I would promise you that I would never behave that way either. Um, yes, and I will hope that there are there are things that I think we all need to take a stand on if there are wrong decisions being made. But as you so noted, there are correct and incorrect ways of addressing people, and we do need to show each other, I think, a certain amount of respect. We need to conduct the city's business with a certain amount of decorum. And I think you're right that perhaps people that can't behave well in that environment should perhaps be asked to resign and make way for someone who's willing to do this hard work a little more dispassionately and with more reason and care.
And I think that the meetings, this is just my say that when I stopped attending them because we go on for 5 years out,
Yes.
unnecessary. We have a meeting, we have an agenda. These are the items. You either pass or move on. You don't continue on an hour-long discussion on what item. If you're passionate one, where you can say, okay, we're for the next meeting. You don't do those things. So that's not the way how you have a meeting. And so those are some of the things that really, for Board of Education people, that should not be happening. They all have agendas when they're in their school, and they have agendas of what they want their students to do. So should the Board of Ed, being as advisors, the same capacity, and they're not doing it. And Matt Wilcox thinks he's doing a wonderful job on the Finance Committee. I'm just saying, there are things that need to be changed and fixed. And so I'm hoping that maybe you will bring decorum to the committee.
Well, I can certainly promise you that I think, I am 50 years old, and I think the passions of youth are somewhat past me. I hope they are anyway. But I can promise you that I will endeavor to always behave in a way that I wouldn't be ashamed to be seen by my children, my family, or certainly I want to give credit to this body.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that. Any other questions? I think I said enough. Yeah, you can stay for the whole meeting, it's up to you, and I will tell everyone. You can stay for the whole meeting. If not, Misty will let you know the committee outcome, by email or phone call, so it's up to you whether you stay or not.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If I may, I'd like to just thank a few people who came to
Yes,
support me today.
Well, they have the opportunity to speak,
Okay, very good.
if they stay.
All right, very good.
They have to stay, you know, to speak.
Sure. I'll just see who they are. If that's okay.
That's fine.
I'd just like to thank dear friend Stephen Chamberlain, who he's now retired, but he was the senior pastor for Be Free Church in Brantford, where I was the music director for more than 20 years. And he and I worked together about 18 of those. I'd also like to thank Kim Garley Erb, who is New Haven parent. Her son and my sons have played soccer together on a number of teams over the years. And she's an educator in Bridgeport. This is someone that I have a lot of respect for. Thank you for coming. Also, I see Annie Diaz, State Public Schools. Someone who's been a wonderful resource to me over the years as a parent, and someone that I've learned a lot from. And also Dr. Abby Benitez, who's doing double duty. She's here, I think, to speak on my behalf and to support this nomination, but also I believe she's also listening in on the board that meeting that's ongoing right now. If I am excused, I may make my way over to that meeting just to listen in, and if I find out that approved, then we participate a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Gonzalez. Eric Gonzalez. Eric Gonzalez. George Key. Huh? He had to leave. Shiara. Shabira.
And she cannot attend.
Huh?
She's not able to attend tonight.
Kenneth Escalade.
Escondar.
I'm sorry, come on up. I apologize for messing up your names.
Board.
Give me your name and address for the record.
My name is Kenneth Escondar at 630 Chapel Street, 050.
Okay, and you're being appointed to the commission. And not as a youth, but as an appointee of the board, not as a youth commission. Youth, now though. So what makes you want to tell us why you want to sit on the commission?
Absolutely. So for me, it really boils down into 2 points. The first point is that I really connect with the human side of the mission. So my background is in education, and I'm currently finishing up my teaching. So the way we were educated is to really connect with students. Education with youth, it's all about the staff, that part of the board, commission, I really like. The second part is the quantitative side of everything. So I don't exactly remember what it was, but I think that there's a study that there's 119,000 disproportionate youth in New Haven. And I also have a background in business analysis and currently going forward to pursue certification. I'm a candidate for the CFA. So approaching this from a human side and qualitative side, that attracted me. I want to use my skills for now.
Any questions? Gary?
Thank you, Madam Chair, but I have no questions.
Alder Rodriguez,
Thank you.
Alder, Hubbard? Hamilton.
You seem very eager and happy. I am reading some of your information, mentorship. What do you think you will bring to the student body? What do you offer that? What can you offer if appointed?
That's actually, I was really hoping someone would ask for that. So basically, my philosophy is everywhere I go, I like to provide value. And so one of the things that I would like to provide is certain models that I can create to add value to the city. I can create KPI, key performance indicators on ways that we can help the youth, and we can quantitatively measure them to help out our job with that. So that's how I mainly want to add value, is add that analysis, but also that human element to it. You can't view people as statistics, and you also need to view people as human. So you want to add both of those.
You also see exactly what you're doing and how to track probably successes or achievements to.
Okay.
And you will have time, if appointed, sir, to be able to attend the meetings and participate in.
Absolutely. So right now, I'm going to be, I cannot say for, just because of ethical reasons, with the certification that I'm pursuing, I cannot ever say when I will get it. So all I can tell you is that I'm finishing up my school, I'm finishing up my certification, and and really those two things, and then I manage some real estate on the side. So I do have time. I'm committed.
Thank you.
Sorry, Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you. I'd like to know, have you attended any of the youth commission?
I have not.
Have you met any of the youth commission?
No.
First, okay. And lastly, you talk a lot about the political.
Yes.
When you talk about the human side, so can you tell me what that means to you? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. When we are trying to work with the youth in New Haven, quite frankly, a lot of people, they have an internalized, I can't, a lot of internal, just keeps them down. It's like a mindset, And so one of the things I was stationed in New Haven for teaching children in middle school, and one of the ways that you have to encourage children is really to show them their potential. So that for me is how I look at the human side, is showing people what they're capable of, giving them opportunities. But and this is one of the things my professor said: you can give people as many opportunities as they like, but if they don't believe in themselves, they won't use it. So it's connecting with people on those basics.
Go ahead.
Is it possible that you can provide an example of how you included in your human being experience about fun for young people to do actually some kind of project, program, or activity that you have recently done, recently last year?
It's a good question. So when I was teaching students, I remember this one time. I believe I was substituting, and the children, they kind of just like came up and asked a question, just like about like regression, because there was a lot of regression in the classroom. And kids, they were not. So what I did do, I was like, okay, I put some order in the classroom, and I said, okay, we're going to talk about the Iliad, because it was an English class, and we were talking about, I believe it was Achilles' rage, and so the kids, they were channeling like all of this, like all these emotions and all this pressure kind of towards each other, and we channeled it through the humanities. We channeled it through the Iliad. We were talking about Achilles' rage, and I remember one of the kids. I can never disclose the name of it, but I had fun doing it. And, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I ask you for your name and address?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. For some reason, I completely lost that part of the conversation. Dr. Alice Forrester, is she here? Thank you. Take your time, there's no rush. State your name and address for the record.
Alice Forrester, I live at 66 Conrad Drive, New Haven. I'm in Ward 26.
Thank you. And the reason, do you know why you're here this evening?
Yeah.
Normally, the reason why we bring the appointments in for attendance, benchmark. And so we want to know, is the time okay? Is there an issue with board members? Is it, whatever the case may be, if you have an LPR or you were helping someone in the hospital, just tell us why.
Sure. What happens is that the things that happen at the same time as I'm the CEO of the organization, that are the meetings happen. So every other month I have a double meeting at a 4 to 5:30 board and 5:30 to 7 board meeting. That is right at the time during the public health meeting. It wasn't so bad during COVID because I could move things around, but Marissa, Dr. Bond and I had our conversation, and in the next meeting I'm going to ask and change day and time that we meet on Wednesdays for the whole.
Okay. I'll have to verify that with her before we reappoint you. Only because we can't reappoint you if the same issue is going to happen again.
Sure.
And so if,
I'd be happy to step down if I had to, so I
Yeah.
totally,
I don't want to have you do that.
I mean, not happy. I'm sorry.
No,
I think the public health committee is good, and Dr. Bond does a great job.
She does. Yeah, and that's your responsibility. So we'll, have a conversation with Marissa Bond and see if they can move the meeting. There may be other issues with moving the meeting, so I don't know that issue.
They start our board meetings at public health starting at 5:30, and my second board meeting is at 30. I can try to see whether I could do the report really quick and then hop on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what happens.
Best I can.
Okay. Yes, the record.
My question is, what role do you play significantly in the public health commission at this time?
Well, I would like to think that I'm the only person on the table who has a mental health background, although the nurses and doctors certainly have training in that. But my specialty is in mental health and in trauma. And the clip of years over the last 15 years is doing a lot of work in the community on a public health effort. I meet with Commissioner Bond periodically outside of meetings to bring grant opportunities or discussions that there might be opportunities for them to apply for various activities and to make sure that we're including public health messaging in all the work. So for example, during COVID, when there was door-to-door canvassing, my staff went out, staff at the years, a large group of folks went out every day and could get calls and knocked on doors and tried to tell people. As a matter of fact, they do that now after gun violence in a community. They'll and talk to the community. Well, you're not alone. Thing on their door and just make sure that people know that there's resources. So I guess very much like the Department of Public Health, but bring resources in terms of making sure that families have what they need, that that there's resources in terms of mental access. And so when I sit with people, I would sit down with the perspective of mental health, trauma, violence.
Very much.
Thank you very much. And we will get in touch with, before we make a decision.
Good. She told me that I have to ask the commissioner, the president of the
Darryl,
board.
yes.
Yeah, Darryl. So I will
Yeah.
do that at the next.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Iris Kaminsky? I didn't think she needed to be here. So we'll pass over number 8. Joseph?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg Gonzalez? I apologize. I missed one. Is he here this evening?
No.
I think he's out of town.
Joseph Edwards, is he available?
Yes, he is.
Thank you. Come on up. How are you? State your name and address for the record.
Joseph Edwards, 505 Sherman Parkway, New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay, the same question goes to you. Is there a problem with the any day or time that you can or someone ill?
So on Thursdays, I had orientation meetings with some big boards I work at. We're trying to resolve that situation so that I don't have to be on as many Thursday meetings as I was in order to be at the board meetings for wellness advisory.
Okay. Okay. So is it, are you saying it's a possibility or is it definitely going to change?
Definitely.
Okay. Okay, because that's one of the, why I want you to come in to tell what. Because sometimes there's conflicts on the board, you don't.
So yes, so on Thursdays, but it's only like once a month. There's a Thursday meeting and it falls in my lot, but I can switch that to someone, so we have meetings on orientations on Thursdays. That is like swap that Thursday for Saturday meeting.
Okay, that would be perfect, because otherwise, same thing is gonna happen, that you're gonna have to come before us, and then this time we have to say, nothing changed.
Gotcha.
And I know that you want to do a lot of work on home commission. So, and, we like people to step up in our city, so we appreciate all the time and effort that you put in. Thank you.
And I was vice chairman of the board when I first got on.
Oh, really?
Yes, I got on, I was vice chairman, and one of my concerns is, we have people who are homeless and they're sleeping on my way into work on the bridge, on Hamilton.
Oh, yes.
Boulevard, on Humphrey Street, and we need to speak to that issue and try to make sure that it's resolved for them, whether they want to stay outside and we supply them with some mental health services, or we make some kind of other alternative for them. But yeah, there are a lot of people living with homeless, and so I want to do some work with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, Alderman Rodriguez.
If you know that the attendance has been hurting, why haven't you done this change earlier on?
We didn't know until after Velma told us that attendance was gonna be an issue. And so I didn't know that, but if I knew it going into it, I would have spoken to that issue at
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Andre, Andre Millet? Not here? Item 11, Isaias Melendez. Is he here? Isaias Melendez? Okay. It says not, it wasn't provided in mine, so I'm sorry, I don't have the update.
No, these are
Required, and Nina Fawcett, Kelsey Steele, Jeanette Sykes, Ganal, and Roberto Irizarry, none of those needed to be attended this evening. So, I will go to questions from, residents. I'd like to open it up for public testimony. Do we have a sign-in sheet, Steve? Okay, Dr. Abby Benitez? You've been around for a long time.
A very long time. Okay, I just wanted to.
Yes.
Yes. Um, my name is Abby Benitez. I'm a resident at 95,000 Haven. I've been here for the last 40 years. Um, Member of the Board of Education and former employee of the New Haven Public Schools.
And so, tell us why you're here this evening.
Yes, I would like to support the nomination of Mr. Daniel Juarez to the New Haven Board of Education. I was very, very fortunate as a principal to serve with Mr. Juarez in our school planning and management team. Was part of that team as a parent rep, and I was as a principal. It is needless to say that having a parent who is committed to not just dropping off his child, but to support school and the many issues that come up that are better handled when there's a strong school community. Um, and he was there. He was one of those parents who believed that his needs dropping off, uh, he needed to support the work that we did in the school. Mr. Juarez was not a parent who would say, great, Dr. Benitez, everything you do is fantastic. There were things that I did that I thought were fantastic, but he was a good thinking partner. We, something that I encourage as a principal always, that we had a very strong school planning and management team because we had 4 parent reps and we had representatives from the community, besides our teachers, health professionals, all of the different stakeholders were represented there. However, I have to say that the reason why, as a principal, I was successful, it was because I had all those brains working, thinking, and challenging my thinking. All right. And one of the memories I have of Mr. Juarez helping me think outside my box was during a dismissal. We were in this chaotic moment, and he's right there telling me, this does not need to happen. Why are we having a chaotic moment? And I'm like, because there's no way. There are ways. You just haven't thought of them. So maybe we can talk about it. I'm here trying to make sure kids got on cars and teachers were not letting kids go with the wrong person. But he was very adamant. And of course, we had the conversation. And what I recall distinctly is that even though Mr. Juarez is a man, and in my experience working with men has been very challenging because sometimes, even when we are very much aware that there is that power struggle, uh, our fellow men don't realize that they could be stronger than they think they are. And what was very funny was that I said, "Oh, are you talking to me as a parent?" And he paused and he told me, "As a parent. But if I came across any other way and you need to address that, I'm open to that." From then on, the relationship was fantastic because I was sure that, yes, I was listening to him, but that he was willing to listen to me. And I tell you, we dealt with many difficulties in Columbus. As you know, Columbus is one of the poorest schools. It's a community school, does not have magnet money, no additional money. And my parents and my staff volunteer many hours, work really hard. And one of the beautiful things Mr. Juarez and his wife did at times was to provide music during our lunch time for children. So he was so involved in many different ways. But I think the best part is, and when I heard him say he would never behave in such a way, it is true. We had really hard meetings where people disagree very much. I mean, we had an STMT that was open and people could come and talk to us, and we never behaved. Some people do in the city. Thank you. We always remember that we were the role models for children. And so that's something I can assure you. I've never seen him participate in anything that goes out of the norm.
Any question?
No, Madam Chair.
Do you have one else? Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. In reference to your being a commissioner, how do you see the, the Mr. SWAT, Mr. Flores being supportive on the board at this time? And it was interesting because you shared about the kind of chaotic incident and how he stepped in. And while we have, I consider the Board of Education as one of, if not the most important entity in our city in terms of families and education and children. So how do you see him in terms of making the miracle happen where he can establish what my colleague here wants to see and what we all want to see? An environment in the Board of Education meetings where everyone engages and is communicating and listening without the chaotic and difficult moments that extend those meetings. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So-
Easy question.
No, I think that Mr. Juarez is able to do that because, not to be part of the chaotic, because he will immediately notice that something is out of hand, and he will take a few steps back, figure out how he might improve the situation. And I think most important, those members of the Board of Ed who do that usually um, calling the attention of the rest to come back to our topic or our way of doing things, and remind everybody that we have staff who run the board, the public schools, and that we provide support with policy, and we provide support with having that extra eye on how things are done, but we are not the ones doing the work. We do have very qualified staff who are not only qualified because we hired them, but because the state of Connecticut says they are certified to do their jobs. So I think those of us who understand that we have to take two, three steps back, observe, and see how we can be part of the solution. And I see Mr. White is able to do that.
Thank you for the education, Commissioner of the Board of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful information, and I'm glad you were here. I know you for a long time at Columbus School, and it was fantastic. And so I appreciate your stewardship towards Board of Education and our children.
Thank you. I am actually the chair of governance, so hopefully we continue to do this and it gets better.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes,
I need to be excused.
okay. Oh, you read it. Thank you. Who's next, Misty? Because I don't have the sheet. Danny Diaz, how are you?
My name is Daniel Diaz. I am the parent. I live at 65 Pope Street in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a adopted New Havener. I feel, and also a product of the bilingual program at New Haven Public Schools at Richard City High School. Um, I am here because I been working for the district for 18 years, went into 19, worked through, including twice after Mayo was came back, so around 6 superintendents already. As you stated, I seen the chaos. I've been to board meetings where I left the shame um, in the past, and but I also a believer. I have all of you. I have 19,201 nephews and nieces in New Haven Public School. They're all my kids. I am proud of them. And I here because I believe that Mr. Juarez, or Daniel, as I call him, um, believes in what I believe. He is part of the team. He's always been part of the team. I met him years ago when he was looking for schools for his children. And, some people that in New Haven, when they get to a level working, they move to the suburbs, right? And we want to stay in New Haven because we love New Haven. We want that sidewalk. We want that neighborhood. And Daniel likes to be part of the community, from participating in the PTO to the SB. opportunity to being part of having group citywide. He was a voice. Not just, it was never about, oh, my kids. It was always about new age kids. And to me, that's very important. Like when you talk about new age students, it's not about my children, it's about our children and the potential that our children have and the opportunities that our district, although we have, as every district, we go through bumps in the road, we have an amazing district. We have amazing students. Perception and reality are two completely different things. And he always worked with us. In the city of parent, he was the quiet person that sat down and listened, and then speak back in a very constructive way. Instead of criticizing, it was being constructive. I've never heard him, even when he was upset or he disagreed with somebody, never. What you heard here, his voice, it's his voice. So I think that it will be an amazing addition to the Board of Education Board. He is very ethical. He has a lot of integrity. Um, I've seen him when he used to drop the kids at former Colombo School. When he had a question, he would call me. What do you think? Like I said, as a member of our community, as a member of the parent group that we had at that point, and I'm actually looking forward to his support in his advice in hopefully establishing again a district-wide group of families and parents that can work together in support of our students.
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all that you do.
You have a
Thank you
wonderful day.
for all
Thank
that you do.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Next person I think is Mr. Stephen Chamberlain.
Hi there.
Hi, my name is Stephen Chamberlain. I live at 6 Buttonwood Drive in Brantford, Connecticut. I'm here to speak for Daniel Juarez as well. When he mentioned the church that he worked in, senior pastor there for 25 years, and Daniel worked for me for 18 of those years. I've known Daniel for 25 years. I was the Ron Manas, our worship leader. And I can say to you, I know that this is a good choice for your board. I had worked with him as director of worship, and he has his kids in our home. Daniel and I have had many lunches at Archie Moore's where we have had buffalo wings plenty. And I talked about work, but also talked about life. So I know Daniel very well. I would suggest to you that Daniel is committed to the city. He said that in civil moving out to the suburbs. I understand why, because he's a committed parent. But I know that Sybil grew up on a farm, and so her love is for the country. But Danny's desire was to live in the city and make it to the city. And that's why he stayed in the city in the first place. There were opportunities to move out, but this is where he wanted to be. He's a committed parent. I hear stories about the older son, Ricky's soccer, and how proud he is of Ricky's soccer. How he goes fishing with the younger son, and the younger son Ricky outfishes him, and where they go and how they've done this for years. But you also hear that in his involvement in the schools already. He has risen to that occasion and gone to the schools. Daniel has he's certainly, in our church, we have something called the core vision team, which are some key leaders of departments in the church, and Daniel was part of that. Daniel would express his opinion, and he would express it frankly, clearly. But he would also research things and know what was going on in the back. And to answer your question, Alder, Rodriguez, note that when the principal was talking, she said that Daniel went directly to her when the chaos was. Daniel doesn't go to a group in a lynch mob and start raising parents to his side to change things. There have been times that Daniel's been upset with me. Daniel came directly to me and was upset with me. When I know that after I left my position, there were some things that were done that I don't think were too hot. Daniel and Sybil went in and directed to the person that had done it and addressed them directly. I encouraged them to do that. He said, those are hard conversations. It's easier to talk behind somebody's back than talk to their face. And he's willing to do that. He's willing to do that. So he'll stand by his convictions, but he's also willing to talk to the person that he disagrees with. Okay? And then finally, I'm going to say that he cares about people. That's really important. I'll put a little different context for you. His resume, you notice that he is a master's in opera from Yale. Yeah. He performs around the state at various places, and if you ever get a chance to hear him, go. I am singing the Lord's Prayer at the end of the funeral service. I think it's a wonderful service. It's a great voice. So usually people who are opera singers, you would expect that they would have a high degree of excellence, not only towards theirs, but anything that went on. Choirs in our church. Not everybody was of that high caliber that was there. He didn't allow me to sing in the choir. And we just did the Messiah. And sometimes people would come that couldn't carry a tune in the bucket. I mean, they were awful. Daniel didn't care. He didn't get them involved. And he encouraged them to be involved and stay involved because it was a higher value for him than the musical quality. Even though musical quality counted, it was a higher value for him to raise that individual up and to encourage that individual. So I believe on all those counts, we've got a winner here for.
Well, if you ain't gonna give order of wings, that'll help the vote.
Kimberly? Come on, Kimberly. I don't know what your last name says, but I know it says Kimberly at the beginning.
Good evening. Your name and address. Yeah, my name is Kimberly Garley Erb, and I live at 40 Long Road in Westville. Good evening, Alders. I'm here to speak as a reference for Daniel Morris. I've been a resident of County for 17 years, and I've lived in Westville for the past 12 years. I'm an early childhood educator, and I'm married to 2 teenagers, a senior at Hillhouse in ECA and a freshman in Easton's. What I have to ask for Daniel Morris has already largely been said, but it's a great pleasure for me to bully someone with his character to roll out a member of board education. I met Daniel on the soccer field sidelines 7 years ago, and our youngest boys were in soccer. We initially connected over soccer, we were connected to Mexico, over music, and of course, over the many years. I'm someone who played a lot of sports myself, and now as a mom who has spectated a lot of sports, I learned a lot about a person from the sidelines. There's something about a competitive game that brings out everyone's true colors. What I'd like to share with you today is that Daniel is a dad you're glad to sit alongside him. His voice is the on the sidelines. Along with his wife Sybil, he's his son's biggest fan. The truth is, as everybody has already said, he's actually everyone's biggest fan. And you hear it in the way that he notices everyone's efforts. He's cheering on everyone's kid. He's there to support the whole team, not just the team that he drove over in his car. During that time, Daniel is incredibly interesting to talk with, and I'm always struck not just by the insight about wide-ranging topics, but by the way he listens, which again has been said over and over. He's the kind of person that creates things from multiple perspectives. He often asks questions, and he responds rather than reacts. I can't emphasize that enough, particularly in the role of the Board of Education. While this isn't a professional reference, I hope that it helps you recognize that Daniel Wattis brings a long list of qualities that will make him a thoughtful member of the board. He'll ask great questions. He'll listen. To your point about consensus in the making of school board meetings, I work to give Daniel the opportunity to work toward improving the culture of communication with board members. I'd like to suggest actually that perhaps identified his first task as a board member. He expressed to me enthusiasm about moving possible school improvement plans, and I genuinely believe in his hope for progress. If I can assure you of anything, it's that Daniel Juarez will cheer on everyone's kid to succeed in public schools. He's really in it for the team and education to be named a member of the New Haven Education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else would like to testify this evening on any of the appointees? Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to testify on any of the appointees this evening? Last time, anyone else in the audience that would like to testify this evening on any of the appointees? See none, all in favor of the portion? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Let's,
Let's start with, Madam Chair, I move item one, Mr. Daniel Juarez to the Board of Education favorably.
thank you. Is there no second? Is there a second? Moved in second discussion.
Thank you, President. We've heard from the people, Mr. Juarez himself, but also his passion for human being, but also from the people that came and spoke on his behalf this evening. How passionate they spoke as to his dedication, loyalty, family man, community man. You know that it's an all around would be an all around plus for the Board of Education when it comes to decorum and just bringing a little of just decorum back to that body. I think if a he would definitely add a plus to that, and not only would work hard with those folks to make a better meeting happen where they're not yelling and screaming and acting like no home training type of behavior on camera and all that. So yeah, I am all in favor of Mr. Waters being appointed to the board, and definitely all my colleagues are as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. Alder Rodriguez and Alder Heather. Alder Heather first.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. So what I got, from everyone that is the honesty that, that's one is commendable that he took the time to speak on it. That, and also from what I gathered, just to sum it up, he's like the calm before the storm. So I think that would be a definite plus for, Board of Ed.
Thank you. Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can respect the presence of the doctor in education and also current commissioner, Dr. Martinez. And in reference to what she said, this appointee our NHS, who is a strong family and what he shared. But most important, I want to appreciate what he shared about from the senior pastor, where he shared that no matter what the voices were, all of the individuals who wanted to be part of the worship were made significant in the work that he did, and he made sure to include them. And the last person who spoke on Ms. Kimberly, she shared that he will make sure that every child, that he will cheer on every child's kid, every kid for their excellence, for their excellence. And I think that's very important, and I think that's something that we could look forward to in a commissioner in the Board of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Murphy.
Yes, for everyone that spoke on the word behalf, I think, his experience speaks for itself as well as his resume. I think he appears to definitely be, asking to favor decision to move forward.
I also agree. After talking to, Dr. Benitez and, others who came forward this evening, I think that, he will be the one for this to happen. And, I think that he would be a great asset to the Board of Education and to bring about some changes, hopefully, that needs to be made. And I'm looking forward to that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Misty, a clarification, please, on item number 2 now. That person, Eric, Gonzalez. Okay, so we are just gonna pass over his name?
Yeah.
Excellent, all right. Okay, so, Madam Chair, we'll pass over item number 2 for Eric Gonzalez. And item number 3, which is, Mr. George Pete, who said that we will move to withdraw. Now, what about item 4, Misty? Tara, Chuck Taylor, Chuck Taylor?
There's time for her to attend.
Okay, so we're
we
gonna
gotta
pass.
deal with number 3 first, because you said number 3, you said move to withdraw, but you didn't finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, I make a motion that we take number 3, item number 3,
Is there a second? Has been moved in second discussion. All in favor?
Chair, I'd like to note for the record on this particular appointment that it states on page 25 of the document that we have before us that it says I have a long history of public safety involvement and I will be moving back into the city very shortly. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So all in favor of giving it to withdraw, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
So, moving on the agenda, so we're passing on item 4. And item number 5, which is Mr. Kenneth Eskandari. I move Mr. Kenneth Eskandari favorably to the youth committee.
I second it.
In second discussion.
Thank you, Chair Sandra. Eskandari has a lot to offer to the youth commission. You know, he's sounds very passionate. I would have liked to know that he would have attended a meeting to see exactly what it's like. But even him not attending the meeting, I think if appointed, he'll do his work. He will participate. He will bring something to that committee, and he will be a help to the commission. So I'm in favor of appointing him favorably.
Um, because, his resume is great. I understand that he has a lot going on with that. But to know that he has not attended a meeting, it's kind of questionable. What do you make this money? Is this something that you really want to do? I don't want this to be like a hobby versus a passion. So,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I am in support of this committee. And I'm in support of it for a number of reasons. Also, the fact that he's from Southern Connecticut State University. And Southern Connecticut State University is very good school in education. And they are trying many new strategies to exactly what he wants to do, which is to engage the youth in different ways. But I also think it will also benefit to him as young individuals in the youth commission, looking forward to expanding the involvement of youth throughout the entire city's work. I think he could.
Any further discussion? Um, Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries. Thank you. Dr. Alice Forrest, number 6.
Number 8, number 9, I'm sorry, not number 9, number 6, number 8.
Any others are uploaded?
11 through 17.
6, 8, and
No,
11
no,
to.
6 and 8. Yeah, 6 and 8 for clarification. The ones.
Yeah, those reappointments that didn't have to appear when you do it together, right? But, 6 and 8, we can do together because they are the people that, have to.
Yes, point of clarification. Yes.
6 is the attendance required, but 8, the attendance is not required.
Yes, yes. So let's do number 6.
6 individual.
And let's do number 6 individually. And we requested that Marissa Barnes and find out, see if we can have a change, if it can't be changed. So can we pass over this evening, Misty? We can pass over it, right? Okay, we'll pass over.
Okay. Moving right along. Next one is the Greg, Gonzalez, I'm sorry.
Yes.
It says out of town on here.
Yeah, there's just no committee action. There's time for them to come back.
Okay, so we'll pass over him.
And we move 8 through 17.
Okay, so we're gonna move item number 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 together, correct?
Second.
Yeah.
Moved in second discussion.
Um,
Yes, Alderman.
These folks were not required to be here. They had excellent attendance, and we will reappoint them to their respective board and or commission, right?
Yes. See no further discussion on favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries.
10.
No.
Item number 10? Is it 10?
9.
9. 9.
Okay.
9.
Also, Mr. Joe, item number 9, Mr. Joseph Edwards. He also the conflict with the scheduling for the homeless commission. So we'll pass over him as well, Misty? Okay. We'll pass over. Is there anyone else that we have not moved?
The reason why we're passing it over is because he's trying to see if he can change the
Yeah,
date.
the meeting
The
time
meeting
as well.
date. And so if we can do that, then we will appoint him. If not, then it becomes an issue. Okay.
All right.
Number 10.
And number 10. Oh, yeah. We'll pass over number 10 as well. That's all.
Madam, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
There's been moved in second discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries. Thank you. And that's,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, we'll have to,
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify the person.